So it looked like Caitlin Clark has showed her true feelings toward beat writer Scott Agnes.
I love Petty CC. Hey, Caitlin can't hide it, bro. She can't hide it, and I don't blame her. Yo, the GOAT, Caitlin Clark, damn near crashed out at the Anacon, Scott Agnes.
Input, 5 paragraphs detected. Output will deliver 5 paragraphs.
Was not rocking with Scott Agnes. This is crazy. This dude showed up out of nowhere. And you know when you know somebody, you like, they pop up at the house party uninvited, like, who told you to pull up? Scott Agnes showed up at the Annika like, hey, it's me, y'all.
Okay, so get this. Caitlin Clark just had one of the most painfully awkward interactions ever caught on camera. And the internet is absolutely losing its mind over it right now. A reporter walked up to her at a Pro-Am event, probably expecting a casual, friendly chat. But what he got back? Pure, absolute ice. I'm talking visible disgust, zero eye contact, and this crazy energy shift that instantly made everyone watching just totally cringe. And the worst part? The contrast between that moment and her other interviews is just brutal.
Caitlin Clark has another Pro-Am behind her. I'm Scott Agnes of FieldhouseFiles.com here at Pelican Golf Club in Bel Air, Florida here on Wednesday afternoon, where Caitlin Clark just wrapped up another Pro-Am playing with Nelly Korda on the front 9, Lauren Wynn on the back 9, and an opportunity more than anything to hopefully bring attention, to bring the spotlight.
But first, quick question for you. Have you ever had that one person at work or school who just like sucks all the air out of the room the second they walk in? You know, the vibe killer? Let me know your stories in the comments below, because we're about to break down a moment that felt exactly like that. So picture this. Caitlin Clark is just chilling at a Pro-Am golf event, doing her usual media stuff, being totally professional, right? Then, Scott Agnes from Fieldhouse Files walks up to interview her. And the instant she realized it was him, her entire demeanor snapped. This wasn't some subtle change either. It was a full-on visceral physical reaction that honestly, you could feel through the screen.
That's exactly what happened here.
Caitlin, Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files. I'm just curious, what was it like to have that competitive juices running through you once again, even though and then also putting on a show as someone who knows the fans are here to see you?
Yeah, I mean, like, these are the things that you love, like being competitive, and, you know, even when I go out and play with family or friends or whoever, like, you make it competitive. Like, you don't just go out there and hit the ball. Like, you make a game out of it. You know, you do have a 2v2, you do whatever. And I think that's what the fun part about golf. And, you know, really with anything I do in life, I'm pretty competitive. So I probably wouldn't play golf if I didn't feel those competitive juices flowing. So I think that's certainly part of it that I love.
Let me paint you a picture, because we've all been there. You know that gut-wrenching feeling when someone you really don't want to see suddenly pops up somewhere you totally weren't expecting them. Maybe it's that coworker who's always got a storm cloud following them to every single meeting, or that one family member who just drains all the joy out of any gathering with their toxic energy. Or maybe it's that person from school you've been successfully dodging for years, only to spot them across the grocery aisle. The second they appear, boom, the entire atmosphere just shifts. A dark cloud rolls right in, your smile vanishes, and your responses get super short, right?
How was the round today?
A little messy off tee. I need some lessons, but I honestly haven't played a ton, but it was fun. I think anytime you get to be out here and see these women do what they do really well, it's like really inspiring and it's really fun. Obviously, this isn't the environment that I'm usually in, so it's kind of a challenge and something fun that I love that I get to do. So just really thankful that Annika and Gamebridge have me out here, and yeah. Just a lot of fun. The weather turned out to be pretty nice. So everybody's like, sorry that it's kind of cold. I'm like, no, like, it was snowing in Indianapolis this past week. So this is great weather for me, but.
So Scott walks right up, introduces himself as Scott Agnes from Fieldhouse Files, and asks Caitlin this super vanilla sports question about her competitive juices flowing at the golf event. Totally standard, nothing controversial at all. But just watch Caitlin's reaction. Her head instantly drops. She stares down at the ground, absolutely zero eye contact. Her entire body language is practically screaming, "Why is this guy here right now?" She looks genuinely uncomfortable, like she's desperately trying to calculate how to escape this interaction as fast as humanly possible. Now, her actual answer? Technically fine. She talks about being competitive, how she turns everything into a game, even golf with family and friends, saying it's just her nature. All perfectly acceptable words, but the delivery? Pure, unadulterated ice. You can tell she's just trying to get through the question without being outright rude. No enthusiasm, no real engagement, just going through the motions until she can finally make her escape. And then the second he finishes talking, you can literally see the wave of relief wash over her face, like she just survived an incredibly awkward elevator ride with her ex. The tension was palpable, and seriously, everyone watching felt it. Now, here's where it gets absolutely wild, because immediately after that icy interaction, another reporter approaches Caitlyn, this time from Visit St. Pete, Clearwater, asking if she and her teammates had any fun in the area. And boom, watch what happens. Complete transformation. Caitlyn lights up like a Christmas tree, a huge, genuine smile instantly appears, direct eye contact the entire time. She's engaged, she's warm, she's friendly, just totally different energy. She's even talking about how she actually vacationed there growing up, how her family owns places on the beach nearby, and how she was pointing out landmarks to her teammate, Lexi Hull, on the flight in. The contrast, my friends, is absolutely brutal. Same person, same event, literally just minutes apart. But the energy couldn't be more opposite. With the second reporter, Caitlyn is genuinely happy to be answering questions, making eye contact, animated, giving detailed answers, full of personal anecdotes. With Scott Agnes, she could barely even look at him, gave the bare minimum response, just to not be overtly disrespectful. So, what on earth is going on here? Why the dramatic difference? Well, if you've been following the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark closely, you probably already know that Scott Agnes has been involved in two major controversies this past season that almost certainly didn't sit well with Caitlyn or her massive fan base. First, there was the whole dark side incident where Scott famously referred to Fever fans, specifically Caitlyn's supporters, as bringing a darkness with them, essentially calling the fan base toxic and negative. Now, whether he had a point or not isn't even the issue here. The problem is Caitlyn has this colossal, passionate fan base that's literally instrumental in bringing insane attention and viewership to the W. So publicly calling them the dark side isn't exactly going to win you any points with the player they're putting all that effort into supporting. Caitlyn cares deeply about her image. She cares about her fans, and she knows her supporters have faced plenty of criticism throughout her career. Some justified, some absolutely not. So when a reporter who covers her team starts calling those fans a dark cloud, yeah, she's probably not going to forget that, and she's definitely not going to be super enthusiastic about giving him glowing interviews and positive energy. But wait, it gets crazier. The second controversy is arguably even bigger. Scott Agnes took it upon himself to report on an ankle injury that the Fever organization was actively trying to keep quiet. This wasn't some public knowledge situation where he was just giving updates. The team was deliberately not disclosing it, and Scott broke that story anyway, putting it behind a paywall and revealing information the organization explicitly wanted to keep under wraps. Now, from a journalism standpoint, reporting injuries is totally part of the job. Teams hide info all the time, and reporters uncover it. That's just how sports media works. But from Caitlyn's and the team's perspective, that reporting caused huge problems. It created division within the fan base. People started questioning why the injury was hidden, wild conspiracy theories started flying, and the whole situation just became way messier than it ever needed to be. So Caitlyn has to look at Scott and think about all the chaos his reporting contributed to, the division it caused among her fans, the totally unnecessary drama it created around something the team was trying to handle internally. And now he just shows up at a Pro-Am golf event, introduces himself with his outlet name like she's supposed to be thrilled to see him, and expects a warm reception. Yeah, not happening. The body language doesn't lie, folks. Caitlyn knows exactly who Fieldhouse Files is. She knows exactly who Scott Agnes is, and she's making it crystal clear, without saying anything explicitly disrespectful, that she's not interested in giving him the same energy she gives other reporters. No shoutouts, no enthusiasm, no going above and beyond with her answers. Just the absolute bare minimum professional courtesy required in that incredibly awkward situation. Think about it this way, if someone Caitlyn actually liked had shown up at that event, someone she was genuinely happy to see, her reaction would have been completely totally different. If it was a reporter she has a good relationship with, someone who's been fair to her and her fans, she'd probably be all excited, like, oh hey, what are you doing here? Great to see you, big smile, positive energy, maybe even a much longer, more casual conversation beyond just answering the question. But with Scott, nothing. Just trying to get through it as quickly and painlessly as possible. And that, my friends, tells you everything you need to know about how she feels about him and his reporting. She's not going to cause a scene, she's not going to refuse to answer questions or be openly hostile, but she's also not going to fake enthusiasm or pretend everything's fine when it clearly isn't. The comparison between these two interviews is what makes this entire thing so incredibly obvious. If Caitlyn had been cold and distant with every single reporter at that event, you could maybe argue she was just tired or not in the mood for interviews, but she wasn't. She was perfectly warm and engaging with the other reporter who asked about St. Petersburg Clearwater. She gave a long, detailed, personal answer, full of genuine emotion and memories. She made eye contact the entire time. She was present and engaged. So clearly, Caitlyn is more than capable of being warm and friendly during interviews at that event. She just chose not to extend that same energy to Scott Agnes. And that choice speaks absolute volumes about how she feels about his coverage of her team and her fan base. Now, from Scott's perspective, this has to sting a bit, right? He's a credentialed reporter who covers the Fever regularly. He's doing his job, asking legitimate questions, trying to get content for his outlet. And the star player of the team he covers can barely stand to look at him. That's definitely not a great working relationship, but it's also, let's be real, the direct consequence of his previous reporting decisions. Actions have consequences, and apparently, one of those consequences is Caitlyn Clark giving you the coldest interview of your entire career. The internet, predictably, had an absolute field day with this whole thing. People immediately started comparing the two interviews side by side, pointing out every single detail of her body language. The stark lack of eye contact with Scott versus the sustained eye contact with the other reporter. The forced smile versus the genuine smile. The short, clipped answers versus the long, personal responses. Social media detectives were all over it. And the consensus was pretty clear. Caitlyn does not like this guy. Some people rushed to defend Scott, arguing that he's just doing his job as a reporter and shouldn't be penalized for breaking news or having opinions about fan bases. Others completely sided with Caitlyn, saying his dark side comments and the injury reporting crossed major lines and showed seriously poor judgment. The debate naturally got super heated, as internet debates about anything involving Caitlyn Clark tend to do. But regardless of whose side you're on, the interaction itself is undeniable. You can watch the video and see exactly what happened. You can compare it to her other interview and draw your own conclusion. And honestly, those conclusions pretty much all lead to the same place. Caitlyn Clark is not a fan of Scott Agnes, and she's not particularly interested in hiding that fact anymore. The whole situation also raises some incredibly interesting questions about the relationship between athletes and the media. Athletes are totally expected to be professional and courteous with reporters, even ones they don't like or don't agree with. But they're also human beings with feelings and opinions. If a reporter says things about your fan base that you find offensive, or reports information you believe should have stayed private, are you really obligated to treat them the same as every other reporter? Or are you allowed to show a little ice to let them know, through subtle body language, that you're just not happy with them? Caitlyn clearly chose the latter approach. She didn't refuse the interview, she didn't walk away, she didn't say anything overtly disrespectful, but she made it crystal clear through her demeanor that this was definitely not a conversation she wanted to be having. And honestly, that's probably the most professional way she could have handled it, while still making her feelings known loud and clear. Scott Agnes got his interview, he got his content, but he also got a very public demonstration of exactly how Caitlyn Clark feels about him. And that demonstration is now all over the internet for everyone to see and analyze. Whether that changes anything about how he covers the team going forward remains to be seen. But one thing's for certain, he's not getting a shout out on the New Heights podcast anytime soon. So that's the wild story of Caitlyn Clark's extremely awkward reporter interaction. Body language doesn't lie, and this one was screaming discomfort from start to finish. If you found this breakdown entertaining, hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Drop your thoughts in the comments about who you think handled this situation better. Thanks for watching, catch you next time.